This is a video recording of Chapter 7, Section 5 in the 8th grade textbook entitled Coordinate Geometry. Alright, let's look at the first two questions here. As you can see, the directions for those are the same. It is to graph the polygons with the given vertices, and then we are to give the most specific name for the polygon. So the first thing we're going to have to do is connect, or rather graph the points given there, and then connect those points to figure out what shape is plotted and then give the name of said shape. So, in number 1 here, we've got point S, which is at -3, -3. Should be very hard to screw that point up, but remember, your first number always comes from the x-axis, which is the one that runs left to right, and then the second number always comes from the y-axis, which is the one that runs up down. So I've got to go to -3 on the x-axis and -3 on the y-axis, and then I'm going to pull my fingers together to see where those meet, and that's this point right here, now called point S. I'm going to repeat the process for point T, -3, 4. So that means for this one, my x-axis number is at -3, my y-axis number, because what it says is at 4, and again, I pull my fingers together where those meet, and that's this point up here in quadrant 2, now called point T. And then I've got point U, which is at 4, -3, so I'm going to repeat this process one more time. I'm going to put my one finger on the x-axis point at 4 for the first number, and then the second number being a -3, I'm going to put my finger on the y-axis at -3 and pull my finger together to where those meet, now called point U. And now that I've graphed all the points, I'm going to connect them, and fairly obviously what we've generated here is a triangle, and it's not just any triangle, because we can see in this lower left corner here, well, it's even marked by the coordinate grid, that happens to be a right angle. So what we end up with here as an answer to the question is a right triangle. Alright, let's go ahead and keep going with the next set of questions here. In the next set of questions, questions 3 and 4, they have the same directions, and what they're asking us to do here is to find the coordinates of each missing vertex. So they've given us some of the shape or description of what they've done there on the graph, and we're kind of supposed to fill in the rest of the pieces there. So in number 3 here, it says triangle WUV has a right angle at W, and WU equals 5. Okay, so that means we're supposed to make a right angle out of this point right here, which won't be hard, because that means, remember, right angle makes that L shape, so it's either going to have to be a line that goes up to make the L, or it could go upside down and still make that right angle. It's a backwards L, upside down L, but still makes that L shape at 90 degrees. Now what they tell us here is that point W, or the line rather, line segment WU has to measure 5. What they don't tell us necessarily is what direction that 5 has to go in. So we've got choices here. We can shoot 5 to the north of W and land point U, or we can shoot 5 to the south of W and land point U. Let's go ahead and go to the south here. So I'm going to go 5 jumps down from W there. And so I'm going to count that off, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's where point U will be. And again, we know that because they told us that WU is 5. There's my line of 5. They also told us that this is going to make a right angle, which indeed it does show that. And again, here they told us it was a triangle, so we know how to connect the other points there that are not already connected to make that happen. And there is your right triangle.